Hi guys, we're back talking about safety. Today we're going to address securing your homes and your businesses.
Hey guys, Liz from the Nail Hub here, and I've got my husband Herman back to discuss the third part of our Safe Tech series, which we came up with that name last time. Today we're going to be talking about security, because what's the point of putting so much time and energy into being better prepared if you can't protect all of that stuff that you just did, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So Herman's going to take the lead on this video. I have not heard anything about what you're going to teach today. So I'm going to be a student just like you guys. All right? So without further ado, take it away.
You should know most of this anyway, but guys, this is a huge topic, so I'm going to give you kind of like the 30,000 foot overview and at least get you thinking the right way and pointed in the right direction. We've already covered mindset briefly with fear and fear management, getting in the right state of mind when dealing with challenging times. We then discussed about how to prepare in our homes and be able to accumulate some of the supplies and things that we would need to be able to ride out an emergency such as the one that we're going through right now. But today, like you mentioned, we have to also be thinking about if we've done all of that, we then have to now make sure that we're securing all of that stuff. We're securing ourselves and our businesses to ride out the storm, so to speak, right? Okay, so like I said, this is something that I could give an entire 3-day seminar about. So I'm going to give you the most important aspects of this. We're going to keep it at a high level because this is something that it's going to differ by person to person, right?
Yeah.
Imagine someone that is a business owner that owns a salon that has 12 employees versus someone who's an independent contractor that rents a booth or rents a salon suite. Someone that's in an urban scenario versus suburban versus someone rural out in the middle of the country somewhere. Like there's just so many different possibilities here that we can't cover every single one, but we can cover the rules of thumb and the guidelines that are going to get you at least thinking the right way when you're trying to address security.
Right.
All right. So I'm going to start by giving you guys a little insight into going back a little bit into mindset. When we're talking mindset and personal defense, self-defense, all that kind of stuff, the way that we do it, because we do it very differently than most other schools and systems and all that kind of stuff, in personal defense readiness is we actually do a lot of psychology. So it's very helpful to know, if you're going to prepare for things, it's very important to know about human psychology. And like we kind of touched on it with fear and knowing and fear management and that kind of stuff. But it also helps to know the psychology of the bad guy. Right?
Absolutely. And this is actually, I want to interject really quick, because this is the part about what Herman really specifically studies, kind of the niche inside of personal defense that I really like about the avenue you have taken personally, and also all the people that you collaborate with, work with, have been mentored by all of that. Because I don't personally, glom onto these types of topics. It's just anytime I hear about personal defense or security or things like that, I immediately go, I don't know what to do with this information.
Or that's not for me, or that kind of seems...
It makes me feel
scary,
very... It immediately makes me feel like, I don't know how to address this. I don't know anything about it. If it makes me feel uncomfortable, I immediately start thinking of like action movie things or like stuff that's just super far beyond what you would consider part of your day-to-day life. And I like the fact that you actually address it kind of like we do with the Nail Hub Gel fundamental stuff, which is you address everything at a very fundamental level. Go figure that I picked somebody that likes fundamentals as well. But you like to talk about everything at a fundamental level, which makes it so much easier to understand. And it makes it that much easier to have it apply to lots of different people, because it's not like a cookie cutter, you have to be Rambo in the jungle type of
it applies to everything in life. So the topics that we covered, such as the fear management, mindset, all of that basically translates to every aspect of your life. So it could be your business, it could be your personal relationships, it could be just anything, not just your personal security. It's
a lot more strategy around how to have maintain consistent control over everything that happens to you, how you react to it, all of that stuff.
Thanks for the great advertisement.
Oh, sorry.
No, but that's great, because you're
I
right.
just wanted to put that in there because I feel like a lot of people, as soon as they hear this kind of stuff, they go, that's not for me.
Yep.
This doesn't apply to me, or I don't feel comfortable. I don't understand this. And so I just wanted to put that in there because I like the way that he goes about it.
That's a constant challenge for us. Most people react the way that you act. So yes, absolutely.
I'm his worst student. So if I can, if I can learn, you guys can.
I've had some bad ones. So getting back to this real quick. So understand that if we're going to study a little bit of human psychology, of how we react to emergencies, how we try to get through scary times and challenges, all those type of things, it also behooves us to understand a little bit of the bad guy mentality, or psychology. Okay, so we break it down in personal defense readiness. We break it down this way. The through line on today's episode is going to be threes. You're going to remember threes. Make it very easy for you to remember these.
Threes.
So
I do it this
for
way.
threes, yeah.
I do it this way.
All right. So there's only three things that a bad guy wants. Okay, so they want either your property, your body, or your life. Those are the only three things that it comes down to.
Your body, or your
right?
life. Okay.
So today we're going to focus on property because we're talking about how do we defend, how do we secure our homes or our businesses, etc. Right? So obviously we're trying to defend our property.
Okay.
But those are basically what a bad guy wants.
That's easy to remember.
Right? So then it's also important, if we know what they want, what is it that the bad guy doesn't want? Okay. Also three.
Oh, I know one.
Also three things. One is to get caught, to get hurt, and for things to take too long.
Yeah, I was going to say number three.
So number three, basically just because it increases the likelihood of the first two, right? So the longer that something is taking, the more likely that they're either to get caught or to get hurt in doing what they're trying to do and committing their crime or whatever it is, right? So if we know that about them, then we can plan accordingly, and we can say, well, I'm going to do these things that are going to be consistent with what we know about bad guy psychology, right? So, like I said, since we can't talk about your specific scenario, your specific business, your specific home, if you're in a residence, if you're in a condominium, if you're in whatever it is, we're going to talk kind of big picture about what you need to start talking about. So again, another three things, okay? We're going to start first. Don't advertise to bad guys. Okay. So we don't want to even become a target to begin with. What does that mean? Well, think about during the holiday season when you're driving around and you see, like during Christmas and people are giving gifts and receiving gifts and all that stuff. Go drive around during trash day and look at all of those big boxes advertising everything that's of value that's in your home.
Or people leaving all of their shopping stuff in their car exposed. Like instead of putting it in the trunk, they leave like their purse out. They leave all these bags out, like perfectly visible inside their car.
You see brands, right? Expensive brand names out there. I know exactly what it is. Oh, look, that house has the latest and greatest big flat panel TV or video game system or whatever is in that home. We know ahead of time, which means now I don't have to try to case around to find out. It's like I know where I want to go. Right? So we don't even want to start that process to begin with. So if we're aware of it and we can just not even advertise what's in our business or what's in our homes, then we're already going to be ahead of the curve, right? So that's also important in your businesses, but it's a little bit more difficult in a business because you do want to advertise a lot of the things that are in your business, which is look at how nice our place is, look at the nice equipment we have, look at how clean, whatever.
But like jewelry stores at nighttime when they close up, they take all the jewelry out of the front displays. They put everything back inside the store. They still have the beautiful windows and everything's still there, but they take all that jewelry out of the window and put it somewhere else.
That was exactly where I was going next. So think about all those nice, expensive lamps that you've bought at your salon. And super nice, expensive e-file equipment, all that stuff. Imagine if you just leave that out every night, sitting there, and you're just like, oh, who's going to want that? Who knows? What thief or what they look like big, hefty, expensive pieces. People look at those like I could probably get a pretty buck for that on eBay or whatever.
Well, and a lot of salons have TVs. They have a lot, stuff like that. Yeah.
So those are the type of things that you need to be thinking about. And like, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to put them in a different room behind lock and key, right? And especially if in a lockdown situation where they say everybody has to, if you're not an essential business or whatever, and you have to lock down your business for 2 weeks, a month, whatever, you have to plan accordingly and say, I'm not just going to just lock the door outside.
Right.
I need to do something with all this equipment that's basically advertising to someone, come and get it.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to start thinking that way.
Even like sparkly curtains or something pretty that blocks the view, you can still have your logo on your window. Like we had that at our salon where we had a really nice logo on our window. People could normally see into our salon during the day, but at nighttime we would actually leave one light on, so there was like this pretty light that would come through, and then we'd close these. They were like semi-sheers, but you really couldn't see through them, but they were kind of sparkly, and then light would shine through, so it made like a beautiful backdrop for our logo. So even nighttime, people driving by, they'd see our business and it kind of advertise our business, but they really couldn't see in. They couldn't see anything that was inside of there. They couldn't see our TVs or anything like that. And so, I mean, that's one idea. If you're thinking like, well, how the heck do I take all my equipment and put it somewhere else? Like maybe you're in a salon suite and you really don't have anywhere else to put your stuff. You don't have like a secure room or anything.
Take it home.
You can take it home, or you can even like, do you think that's a good idea? Like having like a screen or like a curtain or just something that kind of people don't see that?
Yeah, anything that helps you not advertise what's in there is always going to be better than just having it out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think everybody, can grasp that concept. It's pretty simple. In your home, like I said, we gave some good examples of just leaving out. How easy is it to just break down a cardboard box, and turn it inside out so that nobody knows what was in there, or make it small enough.
Or put it inside a trash bag so people don't see it.
Inside trash bags. If something doesn't fit in your trash bin, keep it outside, break it down, make sure that people can't tell what it was. Right? If you have,
that's a good point.
All of us have windows that face a street, let's say, be very careful about what you have behind that window, right? If that's something that people walk around, they're walking in front of that window very often, and just say, I'm going to be very careful about what I have that's visible through this particular window, or I just make it a rule that I don't, draw the curtains, open the curtains on that particular window.
Right.
I only open the windows or the curtains on the ones that just face my backyard or a wall or something.
Good example is our neighbor in our same neighborhood, maybe 4 doors down. He obviously has his personal office in that front room because I'm sure he gets nice light. He can see out on the street, everything like that. But literally at any time of day, I can see his computer, his printer, he has a fax machine, he has a nice keyboard. I've seen all of his stuff just as I'm walking, like, during the day.
Yep.
And that, to me, I'm like, I mean, I'm his neighbor, but still, it's like, whoa, dude, you got, like, all this nice equipment. I can literally easily identify from a long ways away from his window what he's got in there.
Exactly. And that's what we're talking about here. We start thinking about these things. Most people, again, right now you're hearing them and you're like, well, that's easy. That's common sense. The problem is that it's not common sense. It's sensical. It's not common sense.
Common sense isn't so common.
Precisely because a lot of us don't think about these things until it's too late. Until we've actually had a negative experience, a break-in or something like that, do we actually start thinking this way. What we're trying to do with these episodes is for you to start thinking about these ahead of time so that we don't have to, contend with these terrible scenarios for us to actually, get in gear and start being safer.
Okay. So I like that. So first thing is don't advertise to the bad guys.
Yeah, don't advertise to the bad guys or to predators. Then 2, okay, if that doesn't work, then what we need to do is we need to try to be hard targets. Okay, so what's a hard target? It's the opposite of a soft target. What's a soft target? It's an easy target, right? So an easy target is someone where, imagine you walking down the street and a bad guy's trying to look for someone to, victimize. Who are they going to go after? Would they prefer someone who's walking upright, looks confident, head on a swivel, very aware of their surroundings, or someone walking down the street with their face in front of their phone and with their earbuds on?
Yep.
Right?
Or I know a lot of us, especially women, we've been taught this, which is like when you're going to go to your car, make sure you have your keys in your hand. Don't be fumbling through your purse. Don't be, like distracted. Like make sure you're like on a mission. You've got everything you need in your hands and you're just like, boom, in your car, lock the doors, move forward. Right. Like, I mean, Absolutely. I think that's one of those examples that a lot of us have been taught by our moms, or maybe we've heard it in school, or we've like at least, come across that once.
And we teach a ton of all of those techniques. Again, it would be another full day, training class. And at some point, for people that are interested, we can go into a lot of that stuff. But if you understand the concept of be a hard target in terms of your home or your business, okay, what are some things that can make it so that you increase the likelihood of the 1, 2, and 3 things that the bad guy doesn't want, right? Okay. They don't want to get caught. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want things to take too long. So we can then make our homes or our businesses make, all those things happen. If they know that there's a high likelihood of being caught because you have cameras, around the outside of your business or your home, or you have a Ring doorbell, that's going to increase the likelihood of them being caught because you have them on tape, right? You have a video of it, or you can identify who these people are. So they're obviously going to look at an easier, softer target than your business or your home. So anything that you can think of that increases the likelihood of the bad guy getting caught is going to make them think twice. Okay?
And also, I just really quick wanted to ask you, so we've talked a lot about mindset, and last time we talked about being prepared. Wouldn't you argue that if you have that mindset and you have that preparedness to begin with, that also helps you become a hard target because you do walk with confidence, you do know that you've got your stuff together, you do know you've got everything in the right place. Like, I brought up the example of like having gas in my car, when I know that I've got my ducks in a row, I feel a lot more confident, and I think that exudes to people seeing me as like, oh, she looks like she's got her stuff together. I might not actually go after that.
Predators always pick up on all of those cues.
Okay.
They're experts.
So this really all interrelates.
Absolutely. Everything, they're all building blocks, and we're trying to build, again, it starts with the base here is the mindset always. In personal defense, there's the hierarchy of priorities in self-defense or personal defense, which is mindset is the base of that pyramid. Then you have the tactics or strategy, then you have the skills, and then you have gear or equipment, right? So none of the stuff in the top matters if you don't have the right strategies and the right mindset to implement them.
And just in case you guys are interested, I will put the link to Hermann's video. Hermann actually has a video on that exact same pyramid on his tactical YouTube and his website that he manages. That, we wanted to do this on the Nail Hub, and we wanted to really customize the way that we're teaching this information to people who are not in the tactical world, who don't feel comfortable with this kind of stuff to begin with. We really wanted to make this easily absorbable for any type of person that's watching these videos, especially my fellow nail lovers, which I know that we tend to be a little bit, averse to these types of things. So if you are interested in getting more in depth than these videos that we're covering just the sheer basics and the fundamentals and kind of this big picture stuff, Hermann has all of this detailed information also on his channel. So I'm going to put the links to his channel down below just because I've already gotten comments asking about, hey, is there more information that Hermann can offer? And because you just brought up the pyramid, I know I watched your video that you did. It was really cool. And if you can kind of watch those videos wearing a hat of, this is just concepts that can apply to any single person on the planet, it's very valuable. And
I actually, even in my corporate, my other life in the corporate world, I implemented all of these concepts with high-performing, teams and projects and all this kind of stuff. Like I said, a lot of this mindset stuff just applies to everything.
It really does.
It just makes you think at a deeper level, a higher level, and helps your performance in just almost anything you do. So it's important to understand these concepts for that reason alone.
Okay.
So if we become a hard target, right, we're going to do the things that are going to either risk, the bad guy's going to recognize that it's something that's either going to risk him getting caught, risk him getting hurt, or for something, or for whatever he wants to do to take too long. That's going to basically drive him to look elsewhere. Okay, so be a hard target, and that goes to both your business and your home. Okay, whatever.
So we're not advertising to the bad guys. Right. We're not. We're not an easy target. We're a hard target.
Right. Okay. So now, if none of those things work out, okay, and we still find ourselves being the target of a predator, then the third thing is always have a way out. Okay, so we always need to think that no matter how comfortable, no matter how comfortable we feel in our business, no matter how comfortable we feel in our homes, and even if we've done everything right, we can always still end up finding ourselves the target of, a violent encounter or something to that effect. And so even in those cases, you should always have a way out and understand. And we talked about the visualization thing when it came to things like fear management and stuff. Visualizing what would you need to do to get out quickly and safely out of your business if something were to go down. Right? Or same thing in your home. Right? So We don't have to be paranoid, or we don't have to be thinking about the worst possible case scenario all the time of what if this or what if that. All we need to do is just say, if I needed to get out right now, what would I do? And just visualize what that would look like. And does it make sense? Would it be safe for you to do it? Would it be clunky and would be confusing? Would it work if it was just you alone? Or what if you were with your kids, or where you had fellow coworkers, or you had customers? Think about those things now and what all of that looks like or would look like, and plan accordingly and think makes sense. If you start then realizing, there really is no good way here, then you have to start working around that too, right? But but you don't think that you're going to resolve that issue in the moment. Yeah. Because you're not. Because while you're freaking out and you're trying to understand what the heck is even going on, you're not going to be able to rise to the occasion. You're unlikely to rise, not impossible, but unlikely to rise to the occasion. And that's what we do, which is we put people in scenarios ahead of time, so that if they do find themselves in that scenario, the brain says, oh, I've been here before.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's not that we teach people to not be scared or to be these crazy, robots or something but it's just, we're trying to acclimate you to a stress that most of us aren't used to, going through. And if we just do a few things here and there, we can actually realize how much the human body can actually get through hardship and challenge.
So, well, and it's funny. It's funny to me because I think it was the last video, or maybe the video before our first video. Like, I even brought up the example as like, we train as little kids. I mean, I don't know if you have, but when I was a little kid, my parents went through the scenario of, okay, what happens when there's a house fire, right? Where does mommy and daddy go? Where do me and my brother go? How do we get out of the house? What are our exit points? Checking doors for heat, making sure you're low to the ground so you don't breathe in smoke. It's kind of funny to me that we spend so much time drilling certain things, but then when it comes to like our day-to-day lives after we reach adulthood, we don't really spend a lot of time training either mentally or physically for what could happen and how would we respond if that did happen.
That's exactly what I teach in most of my classes. I actually start by giving the analogy of the fire in the home. Less than 1% of homes catch on fire every year.
Right, but we've got smoke detectors.
Right.
We've got
like,
escape plans. We've got insurance.
We have all these things.
Like, we have all this preparedness surrounding just a house fire. Right. Why don't we apply that mentality to other things? And
that is exactly the mindset that we need to employ.
Right.
That's exactly what we're trying to do here. We're to open your eyes to, even though something is possible, it's still unlikely, so it's not probable.
Right.
But just the fact that it could happen. Right? It could be so life-changing and life-altering that we still want to prepare for it, just like the house fire. Right?
But it's funny because I feel like I was better prepared for emergencies as a child than I am now, sometimes as an adult. Like I didn't continue that trend, because I remember even my mom saying, what do you do if you get lost? What do you do if, someone tries to kidnap you? How do you call home? Like, that was one of the things that we practiced as little kids, like memorizing your phone number so that you were able to say, I remember as a kid, my mom made me memorize our home phone number back when we still had landlines. And also I had to memorize my home address so that if like I needed to run to the police or whatever, at least I could tell people where I lived, what my mom's phone number was. But it's so funny because we spend a lot of time focusing on that as children or even with children. But then where does that go? It just like poof, goes into thin air as we get older.
We get complacent because we now make the assumption that now we're big. Now we're big and strong. We're no longer kids. Right. Again, we make the assumption that we would rise to the occasion. Okay? Bad news. Most of us won't rise to the occasion. A lot of us do, but you're leaving it up to chance, right, for that to be the case.
Okay.
What we try to do is we give you options. We want to give you options when all hell breaks loose of what to do, because you've already gone through all of those possibilities, all of those scenarios, and you've now prepared ahead of time. You're in a much better position to address it than if you just go about your daily life with blinders on, just hoping for the best.
Completely.
Right?
Completely.
And you might go your entire life and nothing ever happens, and that's great. That's
God willing.
That is the goal, right? To all that stuff. But again, we know that the world can be a violent place. It can be a scary place. So then all we need to do, without being, like I said, you don't have to be completely in your head about this all the time and be worried all the time and be completely, a head case about this. All you have to do is just keep a few things in mind and prepare accordingly.
Yeah, make it part of your daily thing.
And so,
because I wanted to bring that up really quick, just as I like anecdotes. If you haven't noticed on my channel, I like to use examples, analogies, anecdotes, all of that stuff. But I feel like it helps to kind of take topics and then make it real. So really good example, and my brother might hate me for bringing this up, but I wanted to bring it up. So my brother is one of those people where when he has to talk about something like these types of topics, he gets really stressed out, right? And I had to talk to him about this because I said, look, yes, the first time that you start thinking about these things, the first time you start thinking about like not being a hard target, what would you do to be prepared, exit points, exit strategies, all the things we're discussing today, the first time you talk about these kind of things or the first time you sit down and think about them, yes, it's probably going to make you feel stressed out because you're going to go, oh gosh, I don't like thinking about negative stuff. I don't like thinking about like, what if this happens? And a lot of people find themselves getting
in the fear loop.
Just from addressing these kind of topics and just about thinking about these things. And I think that's also why a lot of people are so averse to personal defense readiness or preparedness topics, or why they write off, like I even had a comment from someone saying like, I don't like the way that you guys kind of wrote off the word prepper because, it's a real thing and it's important. Completely agree with you. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they just completely go, oh God, like I don't want to talk about that kind of stuff because it stresses them out. But if you make this part of your regular purview, if you make this part of your regular training and strategies, like just like anything else that we do, just like we drive a car every day, I mean, most of us do, or, there's a lot of dangerous things or a lot of stressful things that we do on a daily basis, but we're able to be more prepared for those, and it becomes kind of more comfortable and kind of gets integrated into our lives when we do something regularly, and more importantly, when we've been trained regularly and we've kind of exercised those things or practiced those things regularly, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's no different than the way that you budget for your home or your business.
Right.
We prepare, that's preparation.
Right.
If you're trying to run the numbers on how much inventory you need for your salon or how much you need to buy of X for, for your services, all of that stuff is preparation.
Right.
That's analysis.
Yeah.
All of that stuff is important. Why isn't your personal safety part of that?
Right. And I just wanted to bring that up because I know a lot of you are probably watching these videos and are going, oh, I just don't like this. It really is hard for you to push through that because it is a stressful topic and it's not something that a lot of us like to talk about because I think mainly because we're not practiced at talking about these things. Somehow it's become taboo, but if you really think back to when you were a child or when you were a teenager even, and all of the stuff that we got taught about personal safety, and we were drilling things regularly, and you were well practiced on a lot of this stuff, and just like memorizing your phone number, your home address,
don't talk to strangers.
Don't talk to strangers. And it's funny because we go from that to, oh, we just don't talk about stuff like that. We go to zero. And that was the thing after really seeing a lot of what Herman's been doing that I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Because I'm even one of those people that I'm so averse to it. And I just go, it's not for me. But it really should be for me. And it is something that if I absorb this information more than once and I allow it to come into my head and I think about it and I practice these strategies and I really sit down with myself and think through something as simple as, like you were just saying, finding a way out. Like, where's a way out of my home? Where's a way out of my business? Where's a way out of a concert that I'm going to go to, right? Like, just stuff like that. Instead of it being scary or stressful, it becomes something that you just can do automatically, and it makes you feel better because you're like, oh, I know exactly what I would do if something happened, right?
Absolutely.
So, anyway, I just wanted to add that because
the bottom line is, when everything that you just said is what we're trying to get to, that comes down to empowerment.
Completely.
Right? You're now empowered to know what you would do, and that you could do something, right? So that's all we're trying to achieve here. We're hoping to add value to you guys and making you safer individuals. My mission is to make good people safer.
Yep.
I love
that.
That is basically the mission statement of, I'm an affiliate for Blauer Tactical Systems and the Spear system. That's the kind of stuff that we do. And that is our mission, is to make good people safer. That's all we're trying to do. So if we're at least getting you thinking about this for the first time and you want to know more, get some questions. We're already getting some great questions that we're going to be answering in the next
session is just going to be an open Q&A. And it's been cool because people have been sharing their stories with us as well. And some of you have really been sharing some concerns, some fears that you have, some things that, this might have brought up for you. And I love that about the internet, and I love that about YouTube and social media, is that it allows us to interact with one another, even though we might be worlds apart. So I really want to encourage you to share all of those stories, questions, concerns, whatever, because when we do our Q&A, we were talking about maybe doing it live if we can figure that out. I've been wanting to do live on YouTube for a long time.
Let's try to do that. And I think that'd be cool.
Since we're talking about fear and mindset, I'm going to conquer this, and I'm going to do this live on YouTube. But I think that would be cool because you guys can come along with us. We'll do that on Monday. So next Monday coming up at my usual time that I post a video, which is 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. So if you guys want to join us for that live, I'll also send out some messages on the community page so you guys are aware of that. But we'll be doing a Q&A, so please feel free to comment. And before we end for the day, can we go through, because I know this is kind of a big video, and so I just wanted to maybe do one more recap of everything we've talked about.
Absolutely. Okay. So what is it that the bad guy wants?
Okay, so he wants property, our bodies, or our lives.
Correct.
Okay.
What do they not want?
They don't want, I might not do this in the right order, but they don't want to have something take a long time. They don't want to get caught, and they don't want to get injured while they're trying to hurt us.
Yep. So it's you got them all, but the order is to be caught, to get hurt, or for things to take too long.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Same thing. You got it. All right. And then so when it comes to security for either our homes or our business, what are the three main things that we want to focus on?
Okay, so we want to focus, I'm going to cheat and look down because I can't remember the first one, and that's why I wanted to go over this. We don't want to advertise to predators, and you brought up the examples of don't make it public information that you've got nice things, or that, you've got the stuff in your front window, like our neighbor down the street that I already know that he's got a nice computer, all this stuff right in his front window. Don't advertise to predators, right, or to the bad guys. Don't be an easy target.
Be a hard target.
Or be a hard target, because you also mentioned that positive talk is actually easier to remember. So be a hard target. Walk with purpose, and have your stuff together, and like all that stuff we talked about, like keys in hand, all of that. Just kind of be.
But more in terms of being a hard target, your home and your business.
Home and property, right? So we talked about like hiding the stuff that's like, people would easily be able to see.
That's advertising.
That's the first one.
Yeah, that's the first one. So hard target, remember, we're just talking about things like the tools that we can use to make it a hard target, like the cameras.
Cameras, yes, sorry. Cameras, yes, all of that
locks,
stuff.
Bolt locks is supposed to just easy little, the door locks, all that kind of stuff. Whatever makes it harder, so that makes it possible for it to take too long to, get inside and get
and I know the third one, which is have a way out.
Yep.
Okay. So I got...
clear as mud.
Yeah.
That's why we need the Q&A session now. So
absolutely.
If there's anything that you guys don't understand, or you want to revisit, or you want to find out about your specific, scenario or whatever, let us know. I have gotten quite a bit of really good questions that until people, maybe some people are going to be a little shy to throw some questions at us.
But that's why we put our email down below as well. So if you guys look right below the video, I know some of you might not know this if you're using YouTube as a newbie or something, but YouTube has changed over the years. So underneath the video, there'll be like the title of the video and like a subscribe button or whatever. And there's usually like a little arrow that you click. And if you click that, the whole information box drops down, and there's a lot more information. This is where a lot of YouTubers add, links and information on their videos. And, like I usually link up like all my social media, what videos are applicable to this, that are related to this, like, series things if you want to start the series from the beginning. And I'm also going to put our email address so that if you want to ask a question privately and you don't want to post it right underneath the video in the comments section, you can ask us privately, no big deal. We will not be calling people out like, Sally asked us, blah, blah, blah. We like to keep it anonymous because that way you can get the information without feeling like you're being exposed. And I will also put all the links to Herman's stuff as well. Just in case you're interested, I know that this might be new for a lot of you. Some of you have also said this is not new for me, and I'm definitely interested in getting more information from Hermann, so I also want to make that available for everyone. And Hermann has a great channel. He posts a lot of amazing free videos. He loves fundamentals just like I do, and I think this information is so valuable and applies to so many people that I really want you guys to take this seriously. So I am going to be putting all of that information down below. And like we were just talking about, we're going to do our Q&A session on Monday, and we look forward to hopefully doing that live. Worst case scenario, if something doesn't work, then we'll just, record the video with some of the top questions that we want to answer. But we are going to attempt to do that live, so I think that'll be cool.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. I hope you are all doing well as humanly possible. Hopefully there's an end in sight with this whole pandemic thing. I think we're getting closer to that, hopefully. And, I really just wanted to say that we are thinking of all of you, and all of what we've been doing with this series is because we really wanted to share some information that not only applies to this situation that we're in right now, but I hope you will take this information and implement it as part of your daily lives from this point forward, because that is really how you become the most prepared, is by taking this stuff and making it part of everything that you do. So,
correct.
Okay. So thank you so much. We'll see you guys Monday. Bye.